The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Hey, welcome to another edition of the Filthy FRB Show. It's Sunday, November 22nd, and we're back. It's been a long fucking time, Tom.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was some people were like, you know, where's a podcast as this, my earbud falls out here. And I just haven't been home much, man. I went to Singapore for that one championship event. They put on a great show. Ben Askren was supposed to fight this guy Sapo Santos, who decided to show up on a Tuesday, fly 10,000 miles, show up on a Tuesday, and then cut from over 200 pounds down to 170, which it kind of sounds insane, don't you think, Tom?
Yeah, that does sound like a lot of weight to be cutting, but I think in this situation he was right. I think Askren's a chump. Should have taken the fight.
He listens to this. He listens to every episode.
Oh shit! Does he really?
Yeah. Whenever we put it out, I get a text from him say, "Hey, you were wrong about this." And
hey, no, seriously, can you go back and edit that out?
Yeah, of course. And you know, Ben now has a podcast that he does with Tommy Rowlands, who's he's a big wrestling star at Ohio State, and then on the freestyle wrestling.
I wouldn't mess with that guy. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I remember once Dana kind of bitched at him. He thought he was just some random fan. And then Dana.
Okay, I remember that actually.
Yeah, then Dana was like, "Oh, he was a runner-up. Almost made the Olympics. I think in 2004 and 2008.
Yeah. It was him and Mako were battling back and forth, if I remember correctly, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Mako. Yeah, funny enough, I met Mako in Singapore. He was one of Santos's coaches.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it seems like he's doing more coaching down at.
Was he the nutritionist or?
I don't think Mako worries too much about nutrition. I think he just does whatever he wants. And he really is one of the scariest people. Like, you just walk past him in a hotel, and I don't even think he noticed me, but I had this sneaking suspicion he was mad at me over something.
You know what he would have been great in, Brian? He would have been awesome in, the old UWFI in Japan.
Yeah.
He would have been, great as Gary Albright. Would have been
Gary Albright. He was really good, but I don't think people know. Mako was he was so feared. I mean, he was the biggest high school wrestling recruit. You know, he originally went to Iowa, then went to Oklahoma State. He a 4-time national finalist. He won 2.
He played football, right? Didn't he play football?
Yeah, he played football for Oklahoma State also.
Yeah. My buddy Travis Stevens used to date his sister as well, I believe.
Oh yeah, did she make the Olympics in judo?
I don't think that she made the Olympic team.
But she's really good.
Yeah, she was. I don't know if she still competes, or I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice segue, judo, because I know people want to hear more about Ronda Rousey. They haven't heard enough about her, but a
seldomly talked about topic.
Yeah, it's kind of flew under the radar, and I didn't get a chance to watch it live. I was going from Singapore to Tokyo, but I had the in-flight internet, and so I was following it on Twitter. And man, I was absolutely shocked. I mean,
what airline were you on, Brian?
Japan Airlines.
Japan Airlines. How nice was it?
Not great, man. I mean, it was.
There wasn't a geisha in every seat.
No, it was 2 seats, a walkway, and then 4 seats, a walkway, and then another 2 seats.
See, I envisioned something strange going on there, maybe the in-flight movies, some strange octopus porno, or
They did give ice cream, which was a nice touch.
Interesting.
I'll tell you, the worst part about that whole trip over there, man, was the Chicago to Tokyo leg. That was 13 hours.
Yeah.
And they only had Amstel Light, and I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't have any other light beers? I mean, that's the one beer I won't even drink it if somebody offers.
Brian, think about this. That's that exact flight that my buddy Danny took to go to the fight in Chicago. So remember, he flew out and then flew right back. So he made that flight within like a day of each other, within like 24 hours.
His only advantage from coming from Asia to Chicago was you gain some time. I guess that's the only reason why it worked out math-wise.
But you're still on the plane for how long? 13 hours, right?
Well, first he's got to get to Tokyo, so that it's 7 hours to get to Tokyo. Or he could have gone through Hong Kong, but it sounded like he went Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 7 hours plus 13, although, with the jet streams, maybe that 13 is more like 11. It's still looking at damn near 20 or more hours.
and then land for, I don't know, 20 hours and then do it right again.
Hey, did you? Another guy I got to say hello to was Rich Franklin in Singapore. He's vice president of One Championship.
What about Heath Sims? Did you?
And I got to say hello to Heath. I saw him briefly at the weigh-in on Thursday. But did you hear what happened to Rich Franklin on the way back to the United States?
Yeah, he got stopped in L.A. Right?
Dude, they fucking handcuffed him.
Yeah.
It was like because he looked like a fugitive.
Jim Carrey. They thought he was Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I mean, who could he possibly look? I mean, yeah. I'm like, holy shit.
They're like, that's the insane guy from the Cable Guy. He escaped. Get him.
Man, I mean, and he kind of laughed it off. I mean, I would have been fucking pissed. I mean, I don't know. Isn't there some recourse? You can complain. But, I'll tell you, man, coming back into the United States, I haven't traveled international in a while. It was a fucking bitch because you got to go through, customs and show your passport. And then you have to go outside and then come through security again.
Yeah, they have those weird, there's like something you can sign up for, like global entry or something.
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah, the international version of TSA PreCheck. I have that one. I just don't have the international one. But
is it worth it?
TSA PreCheck. Oh, it's awesome, man. It saves you so much time, and your whole trip, like your stress level. You don't have to, like say you're showing up at O'Hare, which is one of the busiest airports, or Hartsfield in Atlanta. You're like, oh fuck, I don't know what time I need to get there. Maybe 2 hours. But I mean, with TSA PreCheck, I mean, you literally just walk right through.
Yeah.
And, this one time in Chicago, I think I would have been online for an hour and it took 10 minutes through the TSA PreCheck. $85. It's good for 5 years. I mean, they take your fingerprints. So if you've done anything kind of crazy in your past, you might not want to get TSA PreCheck.
Oh.
Because they will run those fingerprints through the some kind of FBI crime database.
I'm signing up right now. Seriously.
Yeah, but Tom, you've been to Singapore, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so I was floored at the expense of some things. Like even like the cheapest beer they have, it seems like this Tiger beer is their most popular one.
Yeah,
$15. I mean,
yeah, right. I told you, didn't I?
Yeah. So I had a double Scotch because somebody told me, hey, just drink the Scotch. It's the same amount of money. It'll do 3 times the work, and in the long run. So I had a double Scotch. That was $36. Okay, and then I had 2 beers at $15 each. So that's $68. I had a double Scotch and then 2 12-ounce beers. 68 Singapore dollars.
Yeah. Hey, I wasn't kidding when I told you, buddy.
Yeah, fucking nuts. But I'll tell you, it's pretty amazing. Whoever designed or whoever's idea Singapore was, props to you. I don't know how you did it because it's this like paradise, this rich paradise in the middle of Southeast Asia.
It's too clean. It's too clean to me, man.
Well, yeah, that's but just to finish that point, every other country around it is the third world developing, abject poverty, but except Singapore. But yeah, I mean, man, they are totally about their rules. Like they even have foot imprints on escalators to like where you should stand while you're on the escalator at a mall.
No water on the subway.
And gum. You're not allowed to chew gum.
And it's like 100 fucking degrees.
Oh man, it was bad. It was like 92 degrees, extremely high humidity. I mean, it was like summertime in South Florida. The only thing that was reasonable there was cabs, funny enough, because nobody has cars, or not that many people have cars because of the tax implications.
Yeah. It's like a huge a tariff.
Yeah. But that Marina Sands Resort.
Marina Bay Sands.
Yeah, that place was unbelievable. I've never seen so much high price shopping, like you name it, Prada, Dolce & Gabbana. I don't know all the brands, but I know they're really expensive.
Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah, man. And then we went up to the 57th floor where they have that pool and they have some Wolfgang Puck restaurant. And man, the views are incredible. And they actually had a bargain. Those beers are only $12.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What a fucking bargain that is. I'll tell you.
But yeah, and then at happy hour sometimes they have 2 for $20, and when I sat down, they were like, "Yeah, it's 2 for $20." This big smile on my face. I was like, "Are you serious? 2 for $20? That's a great deal. Give me 4."
Yeah, sounds like a fucking garbage deal to me. But
yeah, but one championships. Their whole thing is like within 2 time zones out there. There's 4 billion human beings. And they don't have the English Premier League. They're not good at I guess they're in that area. They're good at cricket, but there's not that many like major sports. And they think that maybe in a couple of generations, mixed martial arts is a major sport in that region. 4 billion human beings and growing, and it can just blow up huge.
Yeah, hold on, somebody. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, I've been waiting for it to happen for a while, and it just hasn't happened. So I have no, I have no faith in that anymore. I guess. Hopefully, Ryzen does something for the scene over there, because I think that really is like an all-encompassing area. I don't think you're going to get a huge influx in the Southeast Asian MMA scene without Japan and Korea also being involved. So hopefully all those countries can kind of work together to boost the popularity of mixed martial arts over there and kind of put a different spin on the sport, and maybe one that's tailored more towards entertainment and less towards the UFC's view of what mixed martial arts should be.
It's interesting. The 2 countries you mentioned, Korea and Japan, those are 2 that one does not do shows in for whatever reason. They did do a show a couple days back in China, which I got a little bit of the background on it from somebody at one. Is basically like you need to go in there and partner with some kind of sports promotional company, because if you don't, like the government will say, "Oh yeah, you're welcome," and they'll pull the rug out from under you at the last moment. Like you need like somebody who's really over in Asia, in China.
So basically, they need you to invest somehow in a business in China that's probably, has its hands, being run by the government.
I mean, I don't know that much about Chinese politics, but it seems
let's contact Evil Yoshida.
On the underground. Is he still active? On the underground?
I believe so.
Now he's always causing problems, isn't it? Is he a Klansman? I've seen some accusations against him.
I think his gimmick is that he's in China. He's like I don't know. He's a communist or something.
That reminds me when we were at some
an Asian Semite. Is that a thing? Not anti-Semite, but he's
a self-hating Asian.
No, he's a self-promoting Asian.
But that reminds another underground legend. So it's Matt Hume, me, Ben Askren, Rich Franklin, former COO of Zions, this guy Billy. Hold
on.
So we're sitting.
Can you run through that again? Ben Askren, Rich Franklin,
Matt Hume, and Billy, the former COO of Zion's Energy. So we're at this like jazz club / bar or whatever, and somehow we start talking about the underground. So I'm like, "Hey, Rich, do you know who that CRE guy is? The Cray guy?"
Oh yeah,
because he's the biggest Rich Franklin fan, and he's like, I have no idea, but he really appreciated all the positive things he said about him, and it was just like it wasn't just like little messages. I mean, they were like essays.
Yeah, he was big time Rich Franklin nut hugger.
Yeah, and there was some talk that he had like AIDS or something. I mean, was that all a work?
CRE did?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I mean, that's and then he disappeared for a while. But I mean, if you did the math, the amount of posts that he did in the period of time he did, it's not possible for one human being. I mean, it had to be a team of people writing that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I loved. I think his other.
Hey, so also, right? Super Callow has got to be this Eddie Tarvidian account as well, right? I mean, there's no way that that's a separate guy that's Super Callow.
Yeah, did you see Raquel Pennington? Kind of, she thought it really was Edmund, and Edmund. So the fake Edmund invites her for some training to work on a strike, and she's like, "Sure."
I saw he invited Kingsbury as well. I saw he invited a bunch of people. That's got to be Super Callow. It's got to be.
Yeah. Oh man, everybody knows Super Callow. He's like, even the people that don't follow him, they're like, yeah, I know who he is because you always retweet him. How could I not?
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Speaking of which, Edward Tarvidian didn't show up for his bankruptcy, hearing or whatever.
Yeah. So I really didn't know what that means. So I asked somebody, and they said it's not incredibly rare to no-show it, but like it's frowned upon. And
he no-showed it multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times. And so this gives the trustee, I guess the trustee is the person that looks after the creditor's interests, and it gives them permission to escalate the investigation.
Oh, yeah.
I guess to do more digging. Now, why? I mean, unless the guy's just he is a moron. But why wouldn't you show up unless you were given explicit directions by counsel not to show up? Or
I don't know. Maybe he was in Australia. Who knows? I don't know.
I mean, it's not like he did anything in Australia. But let's talk about this a little bit.
In the corner.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this a little bit. I mean, I'll admit, man, I was kind of sick of hearing about Ronda, but I totally bought, how good she was. I mean, I took it hook, line, and sinker. I mean, I just thought that, she could march across the cage and throw Holly on her head and armbar her whenever she wanted to. She was that good. But apparently not. I joke about it, but, she tried to throw Betch a couple months back, and Betch kind of shook her off.
Good God. I saw a GIF of that fight again today, and those punches were terrible by Ronda. Like, how did she even go down? Honestly, how did Betch go down?
That was so.
She sucks.
Well, I think that's the truth. I mean, if you look at Betch, had a lot of difficulty with Jessamine Duke. God bless her, but Jessamine's not a very talented athlete, and she went to a competitive decision with her. But it was like that was so weird with Betch. How do you face plant like that? You think she just wanted out?
No, honestly, I think she was knocked out. But I mean, just shit. Oh man, I don't know. So
Tom, from a technical perspective, tell it what exactly did Holly do so well? I mean, I guess we know she kept the distance. She was, moving around very well using the space of the octagon.
Yeah.
What were some of the other things?
Basically Ronda does the same thing every fight. And usually her athleticism is able to, kind of carry her through that. despite any technical difficulties that she experiences with her striking. She's so aggressive that she can just impose her will. But she does do the same things basically every time she attacks. So Holly Holm was just ready for that, game planned very well. And this was the first time that Ronda had really faced anybody from a camp that is known for any sort of game planning skills. So, that's something that isn't normally brought into the spotlight, is the fact that like all these other girls, the Betch Correia trains with the Pitbull brothers. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean I had somebody who's pretty familiar with Jackson's strategizing and coaching techniques, and it kind of reminded me of like they used to say, or I guess he's still in his prime, Coach K at Duke, like him just being the coach of that basketball team, the lines maker, would give a couple points to Duke just because of the coaching advantage.
Yeah,
and it seems like the Winklejohn and Greg Jackson have the same type of thing, which it might play in here in another 6 weeks with Robbie Lawler versus Carlos Condit.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, even as a fighter, if you're facing somebody from that camp, you'd have to think like, okay, I need to be prepared for not only, focus on what I'm going to do, but I have to imagine that this person's going to have, a game plan that's going to be trying to thwart what they perceive my strengths to be. So, it just makes you think a little bit extra about what you're doing and the way that you're attacking, so that you don't get caught off guard, or so that you don't make a mistake and the other person can kind of use it against you. So it definitely, when you're facing somebody from one of these big time camps, or AKA or Jackson's or TriStar or one of those, a camp that's known for having guys being well prepared, then you have to just think a little bit about it more in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I know everybody likes to play amateur psychologist, and I will here for a second. But let's, the day before the fight at the weigh-ins, a couple things that were kind of, I don't know if they raised the red flag. They didn't mean all that much at the moment, but it was like, well, number one, Ronda's mom never misses a fight. She wasn't at the fight, so is that a sign of some, internal struggle? And then you piece that together with Ronda's mom saying that if there wasn't a law against it, she would run Edmund over with a vehicle. I mean, that's a pretty big threat. I thought that physically,
I don't know. The guy in Roger Rabbit lived through that, didn't he?
He survived.
I thought so.
But somehow, I think
did he get run over by a steamroller?
Yeah, but somehow I think Ronda's mom would take care of business. But so I also thought that physically, her face was a bit sunk in. I didn't think her abs looked as defined as they have in the past. I don't know if that means a bad weight cut. I don't know if she was getting advice to stay heavy longer and then cut it down. I'm not really sure. So I don't know if there was some signs of a bad weight cut there. And then the other thing,
the fight was in Australia, so she didn't have her trademark Carl's Jr. Meals to help her get ready and prepare her the week of the fight, nutrition wise.
Yeah, I mean, and then the final thing at the weigh-in that kind of, I said, well, I don't know if that means anything, but after that little tussle with Holly, Joe interviewed her, and Ronda, I first I heard it described as a promo, and then I actually got to see the video, and I was like, that's not a promo. That's a
tantrum.
That's a temper tantrum from somebody who, in that moment, is not very emotionally stable, and you could hear it 2 or 3 times in her voice. She was going to burst into tears. And I don't know. Maybe a lot of women cry. Ric Flair likes to cry a lot, but I don't know. That just seems like an odd reaction to me. The baddest woman on the planet is going to burst into tears because she got in a little arm tussle with Holly Holm.
Yeah, one that she instigated.
Yeah, because she wanted her left arm, was it? And then Holly was like, no, my arm was there.
No, okay. So in the interview, Ronda said that Holly Holm puts her right arm on the outside. She likes to do that. So Ronda put her hand on the outside of Holmes to make her feel uncomfortable.
Oh.
And it's like, okay, so you goaded her into that, and then you're upset about it? Like, come on.
Yeah. You know what is also, it kind of brought back memories of Strikeforce, the first Misha versus Ronda fight, when Ronda claims that Misha went to the commission and said, Ronda headbutted me. And it was like, Ronda's on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, saying she's a cheap shot taking fake ass bitch or whatever that tweet said. And it was like, well, why are you narking on if it was a cheap shot? You know, it was like specific in her book. She said that she was so upset because Misha went and essentially narked on her to the commission for she claimed she was headbutted. So I was like, man, I mean, is this? I mean, a normal person would say this is just because she's trying to sell conflict. She's trying to sell the fight.
Nah.
I don't think so. I think she's just a very emotional girl.
Yeah, I think so too. You know?
Yeah, I guess that can work to your advantage sometimes, although I can't imagine, fighting angry. I mean, have you ever fought angry?
Well, during the course of the fight, there's been a few fights where I've tried to basically kill my opponent, and that never works out well. So I would say that I have fought angry. Not like I wanted to inflict, harm on my opponent for any reason other than winning the fight, but definitely with more emotion, like in the way or in the sense that I wanted to, finish the fight very quickly and with a big knockout. So you kind of expend more energy.
So generally speaking, you don't think fighting with that type of
it's not beneficial.
It's not beneficial. That's what I was looking for.
No, you should go into it and look at it from a business standpoint.
So Tom, put your coaching hat on here. You throw Edmund over the cage and deport him back to L.A. so he can go to his bankruptcy hearing. Put Tom Lawler in that cage between the first and second round. What are your instructions to Ronda?
You have to tell her to, instead of using her jab to try to close the distance, focus on getting her lead leg, her left foot outside of Holly Holm's left foot, because what Holm was doing is moving to her left, like back and away in arching motion. And then when Ronda would chase after her and throw her lead jab, she would slip to the outside and throw a punch and circle back that way. She did it multiple times during the fight. So obviously when Ronda would punch, that was Holm's opening to, kind of use her footwork to get outside and create that different angle. So, if I was the coach, you'd have to tell Ronda to not even give her the opportunity to create that angle anymore. And instead, cut her off with lateral movement instead of forward movement.
But instead, Edmund Tarvidian or
told her she was doing really well.
Yeah, you're doing really well, and basically we just where we want her.
I don't know.
I mean, to me, that's.
I try to forget because it was such terrible advice. I never want to think about it in a high pressure situation.
Because before I heard the audio of when Travis Brown fought Schaub, and it's just Edmund, cursing and yelling and basically kill this motherfucker or something like that. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on, maybe he's got something against Schaub because, Ronda Schaub used to be an item, whatever.
Schaub used to train with Edmund too.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, maybe it's a personal thing, and Ricky Lundell was actually handling the instructions from the corner, so he was just kind of being a fan. But and I was, trying to say, oh, maybe people are just jealous of him because he's got the highest paid fighter in the world, and even though he says he makes zero income.
No, Vince McMahon has the highest paid fighters in the world.
Well, that's true. But I was trying to say, oh, maybe people are exaggerating. He's not such a bad coach. But when you go in there between the first and second round, and your fighter just got her ass kicked, embarrassed, really picked apart, and you say doing great, just basically.
Here's the thing to me, Brian.
Yeah.
Is when you have somebody come in and tell you that, they're doing you a disservice. Now, I know I've heard people use this as a counter argument. They're like, what if the person needs that kind of positivity to make them, perform better? And I think if that's true, then that's a sign of mental weakness in the first place. You should be able to be realistic in a situation that's, a high pressure situation.
Yeah, I would think any fighter would want an honest corner.
Yeah, you need to be able to be confident that you've prepared yourself for any situation. You don't need to be overly confident that you can do anything that you want, because that's not an intelligent way to fight.
And Tom, you can say anything you want. It's how you say it. There's ways of shaping something, saying, even somebody who needs positive reinforcement, like she probably does. Hey, I like what you're doing here. You're pressuring her, but I need you to do this. The blah 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 blah. Like some of the instructions that you said. There's ways of saying things that's not totally tearing somebody down, but still correcting them.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were some bright spots there. When Ronda hit Holly Holm, I thought, personally, she was doing, a bit more damage with her strikes. She would knock home. Holy crap!
Was that a shoot, or was that a?
No, that was real.
Okay.
We're
gonna need to edit, but we don't edit, so.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, you gotta edit that thing out about Ben Askren, anyways.
Were you serious about that?
No. I was kidding. I was joking. The guy Ben Askren was totally in the right.
Yeah.
But, anyways, where were we?
I guess about how you could, even if Ronda's somebody that needs positive reinforcement, you could qualify your criticism by also complimenting her, saying, "Hey, you're doing this part right."
Okay, when she would hit Holly Holm, she would kind of knock her back like a foot or two. It would kind of knock her off balance. So she was able to hit her a few times and do some damage. So you could key in on that. You could say, great job, Ronda, when you're hitting her. She can't handle your power. Let's put her in more situations where you can make that happen. Let's move this way. Great attempt on the arm bar right after the takedown. Let's get back to that. Something as simple as that would do her a lot, more, good in the corner than what he was saying.
Yeah, and I had I think Miesha Tate has a really good shot of beating Holly Holm, and I had a few people on Twitter say, well, how can you say that? If Ronda can't get her to the ground, how's Miesha Tate going to do it? And, I was just talking to a few people who know a lot more about it than I do. They were like, well, Ronda has one way of getting you to the ground. She does her judo. I don't know the technical term for it, but it's essentially a hip toss, and she gets you down on the ground, and she transitions to that arm bar. She doesn't go for single and double takedown attempts. Well, number one, she's not a wrestler. Number two, it's pretty well known that she has very bad knees. And, wrestling, very tough on the knees.
Yeah. I absolutely believe that, Miesha Tate has a better chance of beating Holly Holm than she does of ever beating Ronda Rousey. And I think Ronda Rousey, obviously has a better chance of beating Miesha Tate than she does of beating Holly Holm, and I think Holly Holm has a better chance of beating Ronda Rousey than she does of Miesha Tate. So I think we're kind of in a situation where it's a triangle. Maybe we should just have a triangle match, like old school EC dub.
Yeah. Or even Kat Zingano. Kat Zingano might have a chance. I don't know where she is mentally. I assume she's coming back sometime in 2016, but she comes from a wrestling background, and I wonder if she could get Holly to the mat.
She does, but this is, her second big-time layoff right in a row. So I don't know. I personally thought Miesha was winning that first fight, and it was a little bit of a quick stoppage. So
yeah, that was that shit referee. What's her name?
Kim
Winslow.
Yeah.
Misha was pretty beat up, but I mean, she could have let it continue.
By the way, congrats to Kim Winslow on her 25th anniversary at the Survivor Series tonight too.
Yeah, they look very similar. Yeah. But so that kind of lends into the next thing. What's next, and what do you do with Holly Holm? I think you put her against Misha Tate next March or April or even Super Bowl if she's ready to go, and have them fight. Because the argument against it was they say, yeah, but then you lose the big money Ronda versus Holly 2 fight. And I said, well, it doesn't matter. Ronda sells based on being Ronda, not necessarily the opponent. So, like, even if Misha beats Holly, so you lose the Holly versus Ronda rematch, but now you got Ronda going for her belt against a person whom she hates, Misha Tate. It's a third fight, but let's remember, 95% of Ronda Rousey fans never saw Ronda versus Misha in Strikeforce.
Yep.
So I think you roll Holly out there, she wins, then you do the rematch. But I think the key to all this is Ronda's got to film 2 movies. It
depends on how long Ronda's gone for, is basically what it boils down to.
Yeah, she's got to do her 2 movies, and then I think she's got to be in there with a serious coach for like 5 or 6 months.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, if she's taking time off from training anyways to do these movies, by the time she gets back in the gym and starts retooling things, does that give her enough time to be ready for a fight at UFC 200 in July or June or whatever it is? Yes, it does. Does it give her enough time to make the improvements that she needs to in order to beat Holly Holm? I don't know that that's the case. And if Ronda Rousey loses again to Holly Holm, such devastating fashion, and so in so quick of a turnaround, I think that really, really hurts the Ronda Rousey hype. Her mystique will definitely take a huge hit at that point.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing that Roadhouse.
I think she's better off waiting and working on her technical skills to the point where she is 100% confident, in her ability to handle whatever Holly Holm's going to do on the feet.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing that Roadhouse movie, and that has disaster written all over it. I mean,
now she's just got beat up.
Yeah,
no one's going to respect her at the bar. Come on.
Yeah, how are you going to buy that? I think there's
she's going to be getting slapped around at World Star or something on World Star. I don't know. I don't even know how I'm saying. Ronda Rousey is still, Ronda Rousey's still arguably the second best woman fighter in the world. So there's not going to be anybody that stomps her in a bar. But
and who's to say really that you need Ronda at UFC 200? I mean, if McGregor wins, you could have McGregor versus somebody.
But isn't his first defense supposed to be in Croke Park? Which I actually heard that WWE was looking to rebook TLC for next month to Croke Park. Its first defense.
What are they going to draw? 5,000 people? I mean, he's not the most over guy there.
I wish he was over.
He went after it with McGregor, but I think it was all bullshit. They went back and forth because when I saw him at the WrestleMania party afterwards, I kind of joked with him about it, and he didn't really bite. It was all a fucking joke. It was like. So I guess next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was your impressions from the UFC show last night in Monterrey, Mexico, which might actually be the hometown of Super Calo, but
I thought the show was boring as hell. Neil Magny and Gastelum was a good fight. Lamas and Diego was a good fight. Everything else was subpar. What was this? It was the finals of Tough Latin America, Southeastern Conference, championship of November.
They gotta pull those fights off the main card.
What are we getting next? It's gonna be UFC like Malta versus Vatican City.
Yeah, I mean,
Tough Malta.
What did you think of the controversy about Scott Jorgensen?
I didn't see the fight. I didn't watch those prelims.
Yeah.
I watched the some of the main card, and I watched the Canelo Alvarez versus Miguel Cotto fight.
Yeah, I mean, well, so basically Jorgensen had an injured foot, and the referee just continued to let the fight go. And
yeah, I heard it was both that fight and there was another fight with the Diego Sanchez fight. They were very reminiscent of the Royal Rumble, I believe, 1994, with Brett and Owen Hart versus the Quebecers.
In what way? I don't remember that one.
That's the one where Brett was injured and it wouldn't tag Owen in.
Oh, and that led to their WrestleMania match, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotcha. I mean, I wanted to talk a little bit about Diego Sanchez, and you saw that fight, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, at one point there, like, who's the guy? Lamas was 70 of 113 significant strikes on Sanchez. And, Anik and Stan were trying to dress it up as best as possible, calling him a warrior, which, I'm not really disputing. But usually when they start bringing up that type of terminology, that means that you're really good at getting beat up.
Yeah, but I was watching the fight, and it was bad, but, he was always still fighting back, and he fights so strangely anyways that it's very tough to count him out in virtually any situation. And I didn't really think that there was a point where the referee should have stopped it and didn't. At first, I thought it was going to get real uncomfortable, but Diego would always find a way to start fighting back, or Lamas initiated a couple of grappling exchanges, and Diego would do fine in the grappling. It was basically just hampering his movement out in the open. So, I really didn't think it was that bad. Of course, I didn't see the Jorgensen fight, but I heard that was a lot worse.
Yeah, and you take a look at Diego's now lost 4 of 6. So he lost to Lamas, he beat Ross Pearson, he lost to Miles Jury, Gilbert Melendez, he beat Gomi in a kind of a somewhat controversial decision, and then he lost to Jake Ellenberger. So I mean, he's fighting some tough guys. He's not getting wiped off the mat. Off the map. It's not like what BJ did to him.
Here's what I do: is if so there's a fight between Evan Dunham and Joe Lozon coming up. If Joe loses to Evan Dunham, then I think you do Joe versus Diego Sanchez, because that's a guaranteed barn burner.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh wait, actually Diego's down at 145 now, so that blows that.
Yeah, but I wonder if he's willing. I mean,
Diego versus Clay Guida.
Yeah, I know sometimes these guys they think going down in weight it does give them fresh opponents, but I don't know. At some point, there has to be the law of diminishing returns. Like, you keep going down. At what point does it actually stop helping you?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to see him do a coaching gig on the next Latin America season of Tough, I guess. But I don't know what else to do with him.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of fights, and man,
he's kind of an iconic figure. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody, for the most part, really likes watching him fight. So, hopefully he has something that's gonna pay his bills after this fighting thing's done. So,
yeah, and just to make you feel really old, or at least me. He's 34 in December. I remember he's like 21 years old, and one of the hottest prospects in the sport.
Yeah, well, he's had a good career, 25-7, or I believe 25-8 now, but 14-8 in the UFC. He's been a stud for a long time, and always had exciting fights. And whether you thought he won or lost some close decisions, for the most part, nobody ever complained about actually watching a Diego Sanchez fight. So if he hung it up now, he'd have absolutely nothing to hang his head in shame about.
Yeah, he's a guy. Hopefully, they can find some kind of office job for him. Because I think he'd be a good ambassador. They're trying to get into Mexico.
Grappler too. He beat Pablo Popovich in grappling match. He was one of the top grapplers before he started fighting in the UFC. So, obviously, I think the most dangerous aspect of mixed martial arts is the blows that you take to your head over time, and luckily, for the most part, that stuff won't hinder your grappling abilities. So, perhaps he can get back on that circuit and kind of quench his competitive thirst that way.
Another thing, I saw Luke Thomas put up a tweet about the pacing of the show, and from what I understand, the show went over 4 hours.
It was so long.
Yeah. Now, I know there were some decisions or a lot of decisions, and that doesn't help, but, I mean, there's fight cards that, have early stoppages, knockouts, submissions, what have you, and they still go on forever. And I just find it incredibly difficult to believe that they can't show all the fights the commercials within 2.5 hours.
Can we not talk about this? The show was really boring.
Well, I mean, yeah.
We've already talked about the most important stuff.
But there is one that was kind of controversial that I think people would want your opinion on. The Neil Magny Kelvin Gastelum scoring.
Yeah.
So Magny is unbelievable. I mean, this guy lives the mantra, I don't get ready, I stay ready. He's fought 5 times in the UFC in 2014, and then 5 times this year. I mean, I don't know. In 2 calendar years, has anybody fought 10 times in the UFC?
I believe he's got to be the busiest fighter in UFC history. I would imagine.
Yeah. So, just go by round by round. I mean, the round 1 and round 2, I think were pretty clear for Magny with his grappling and keeping distance and superior striking.
He was tossing Gastelum around like he was a kid.
Yeah, he
ranked on him, which I've never seen Gastelum manhandled like that, and I didn't expect it from Magny here, but he was all over him.
Yeah, that was surprising because Gastelum's a strong guy, man. Yeah, especially the 170 pounds. Now, round 3 was questionable. It was. How did you score it?
I thought Magny won
it. Scoring it live, I said Magny too, so I had him up 3-0. So that has him up 30-27, entering the very controversial 4th round, which saw Magny get knocked down twice. But, when he got knocked down, I didn't get that feeling, okay, this fight's done. I mean, he was moving. He was trying to get work for a submission, or trying to work for positional advantage. Do you think it was a 10-8 or?
No, I don't, because I don't think he was ever really that close to finishing. I thought that Magny's round 1 was really just as dominant as that round 4 was by Gastelum. So
basically, then if you go round 3 to Magny and then round 4 Gastelum 10-9.
48-47 Magny.
48-47 Magny, and if you did go 10-8, it would be 47-47 draw. I mean, certainly couldn't argue with that. But
no, I'm not opposed to seeing more draws. I think some fights are draws. Just so happens that that's the case with this 10-point must system in a 5-round fight.
Under the Pride system, who would you give the victory to?
I don't know. I was so impressed early on by Magny that I think that clouds my judgment. So when I look at it, I just go, okay, Magny to me won the fight, but at the end, if you go by the Pride system, then Gastelum wins the fight because he was the fresher of the 2 fighters, in the final round.
I think it was Gastelum because round 3 was highly questionable. I think that could have gone either way, and then round 4, Gastelum dropped him twice, bordering on a 10-8, and then round 5 I thought was a clear round for Gastelum too. So if you were just to pick a winner, I think it's Gastelum. But under the 10-point must system, Tom. Hey Tom, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I was just saying, 48-47 Magny, certainly a good card, but just personally, I would have gone 47-47. Because, man, you got to start giving those 10-8s. I mean, I was listening to your show with Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer. I don't know if it was Brian or Dave said there's only 35 10-8s in 2015.
But here's the thing. To me, even though they were knockdowns, I thought, if you look at a domination standpoint, that Magny's, first round was just as dominant as Gastelum's. There was multiple times Gastelum didn't do anything in that round. Like nothing. Magny was all over him. Takedowns, taking his back, almost getting the rear naked, moving him out. So if you're going to look at it, from a dominant standpoint, you have to factor the grappling in to that as well, because realistically, Magny was able to recover from those punches. There's such a thing as a flash knockdown. There's flash knockouts, there's knockouts, there's flash knockdowns, and there's knockdowns.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think
they kind of cancel each other out if you're going to look at it, objectively.
I never really thought that Magny was in trouble. I was like, and then the other thing that surprised me, and I think even Brian Stan made a comment on it, was why when Magny was on the ropes, so to speak, why was he pushing him against the cage when he should have just laid off and continued to throw punches up?
Well, that's a situation where his instincts overtook his fight IQ or his in-fight ability to decipher what's going on and kind of formulate a game plan on the fly. Even if your game plan is to take the guy down and start beating him up, if you punch him and you start knocking him around, you should probably continue to punch him.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't think you're a better striker than somebody, but then you start hitting them and they're not hitting you, and you hit them 10 times in a row, that doesn't mean you should go for a shot and start grappling. Probably means you should continue doing what's already working, or a variant of that.
Sure. Now, the other somewhat noteworthy thing that happened last night was Henry Cejudo won his fight against Formiga, Brazilian guy, flyweight division. So it looks like the Moose versus Henry Cejudo sometime early 2016. Yep. You think Cejudo's got a chance here against the Moose, or?
I don't even want to talk about it. I that's not interested in using my ability to think.
Well, what if I were to say that it was going to be the Moose versus the Gooch too?
Oh God, then I'd be pumped.
They should save that for Saitama Super Arena.
Yeah, they really should. Co-promotion with Ryzen in 2040.
Have like Funaki out there and Sakuraba. Oh man, yeah. All right. So and then what was the other thing I wanted to? Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about MMA related? The World Series of Fighting tournament on Friday night, that's a pretty cool concept. I like seeing these one-night tournaments back in action, whether it's Bellator, putting on that 4-man light heavyweight tournament, or this World Series of Fighting 8-man lightweight tournament. I think it's a novel concept in many ways, and it's a throwback that I think is a welcome addition or, welcome change to the MMA landscape. Different. I really don't like it. I think it's kind of an antiquated approach.
Come on.
I don't like it because,
adds intrigue and drama.
Yeah, but didn't two guys that lost in the quarters, they made it to the... It got so damn confusing after a while. So two guys that lost in the quarters.
It creates storylines, Brian. Now, right, Brian Foster is going to get a title shot, okay? If he wins... João Zeferino has a legitimate claim to getting a title shot against him. So it sets up multiple matches in the future. It's like the G1 booking. It's perfect.
Yeah. I think...
And, if Foster loses, it still sets up Zeferino to fight Gaethje.
So what was Foster's record on the night? I didn't follow that.
He was 2-1. What happened? He lost in the first round to Zeferino. He got brought back because somebody was injured. He then beat, I think it was Macaco. And then he was losing, I think, to Zeferino in the finals. And with in the last 15 seconds, landed a punch from on top through Zeffirino's guard and knocked him out. So pretty phenomenal finish to the show.
So prior to this event, Foster had turned down a title shot?
According to Chris Camozzi on the UG.
Yeah. Well, I believe Chris. I don't think he's of the one-man army contingent. I believe him. I think the reason, probably because there was more financial upside fighting 3 times in a night. I mean, maybe they were going to pay him like 10 and 10, and he had potential maybe to win 30, 40, or 50,000 if he won the tournament.
Yeah. I don't know how do they get by the commission doing this with I understand the 4-man tournament because he could do a two a 2-round fight and then a 3-round fight, but
I think they got around it because the quarterfinal bouts were 1 round.
Oh, so the first fights were only 1 round.
Yeah. So
okay. So then it was a 2-round and then another 2-round fight. Is that no? It was a 3-round fight in the end. So
was that? I mean, I know I didn't follow it that closely on Friday, but I know for sure that when I was reading the article leading up, that a first round or the quarters were 1-round bouts, and then 2-round.
I wonder
bouts.
what the maximum is for rounds that you can have in one night. Maximum rounds you could fight.
I don't think there is. I don't think there's a one rule. I mean, a lot of people talk about the unified rules, but that's kind of a misnomer. Every state has their own interpretation of the unified rules.
Yeah.
So I don't think you could do that tournament in Nevada, but you could go to Arizona and do it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I believe in California, they couldn't do that tournament.
Yeah, you can only do 4, right?
Yeah, it's either that or they don't even have enough light heavyweights on the roster. But
yeah, so that's World Series of Fighting, and I guess good for Foster. To win that tournament, get some good publicity. That's a guy that's been through hell and back to continue this MMA career. I mean, a guy that I can't even imagine. I mean, he lost a testicle in training. Can you believe that? And then also had to have brain surgery, had some bleeding on his brain, so and came back. I mean, shit, if that's not dedication, if it ain't dedication, then he's just fucking crazy.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah.
All right.
So what do you want to tell us about the Survivor Series?
It was awesome.
This
WWE does.
So Ice is running.
No, I was waiting for it, but it didn't happen. So luckily, I'm glad. I would hate to see that. That would have been the drizzling shits.
I can't believe Vince
on my day.
I can't believe Vince didn't come out and cut a promo on ISIS.
Well, it did open up with Lillian Garcia singing, national anthem or Star Spangled Banner or something. Maybe she just did the pledge. I can't remember.
Well, that's a nice touch. I mean, that's a very subtle. I guess Vince going out there and yelling.
Yeah.
But I watched that video, and I think I posted it on Twitter. What was it, September 13th, Houston, 2001, the first sporting event or large crowd gathering. And I'm like, man, Vince McMahon is an incredible leader. I mean, he went out there, and it was pretty obvious. Nothing was scripted.
Guy's got some balls, man.
It was totally off the fucking cuff, and I'm just like, man, if I was in that situation, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have put something together that made that good a sense. It was 14 years looking back, I was like, man, that's it wasn't a promo. It was just Vince speaking from the heart, but it was pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, this is a good show. Despite the adversity, in the face of adversity, I thought it was good. Good show. So, opened up with Reigns versus Del Rio. The show, by the way, was brought to us by Rolaids. Thanks, guys. They had a nice graphic on the screen that said, Rolaids kick acid. Out of the replays, yeah. Del Rio looks like he's on the paleo diet. Very shredded. Very tanned.
Is that code for gimmick, or?
Yep.
Oh, man. He is out of his fucking mind.
He's shredded beyond belief. Like, just 2 weeks ago, he wasn't that shredded. So, I don't know if Zeb has the hookup. Holla if you hear him. But Reigns didn't hear what was going on from Zeb or Del Rio and hit him with a spear for the win. Then we had Ambrose versus Owens. At one point, Owens yelled out Chinlock City, which I thought was pretty damn good. There's also a Diet Owens diet sign in the crowd. And at one point during the Ambrose vs. Owens match, there was the big spitting fisherman's buster by Kevin Owens. And Jerry Lawler says Dean must have been surprised, but Owens does it every single pay-per-view match. So why would he be surprised?
Let me ask you about, because I'm wondering about Owens. You know, they brought him up in May, and he had that pretty cool 3-match series, I think it was, with John Cena.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, they got something here. I know he doesn't look like they, you know, he wears his basketball shorts. He's got this big gut. And he wears a T-shirt. Yeah. But he's got this here's the thing. Aura of arrogance.
Yeah, Brian, he should have been Vader, and instead they turn him into like Bastion Booger.
Yeah, I think they've totally ruined that guy. I mean, he's jobbing out to everybody.
Rusev. They just did that with Rusev. Right before the end of the summer and into the early fall. They just turned him, he started losing matches all the time and kind of turned him into, a mid-carder.
Yeah, and that was a guy, heading into WrestleMania in Santa Clara this year that, you were looking at and you're like, yeah, this guy, he's a headliner. I think he might be a headliner for...
Yeah, he's a great character. He's big. He's credible. He's hilarious, I can't believe, what they did. Basically, he was a monster, and now they turn him into kind of a joke. So we'll see how they handle him when he comes back. But, Kevin Owens, I guess he is in the Final Four, so he's in, conceivably one of the top 4 guys in the company. But, here's the other thing is they have this final match between Ambrose and Reigns because Ambrose beats Kevin Owens with the Dirty Deeds, DDT. And then Reigns just pins Ambrose with a spear. Clean, no angle between those two or nothing. So why not have Reigns versus Owens? Why even, give away Reigns versus Ambrose in that situation and make it mean nothing instead of just having Reigns go over Owens, or Del Rio or anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, well, why it doesn't seem to be. I mean, how about the Charlotte versus?
Charlotte. That I didn't really watch that match. I will say, going on with the show, there was the best TLC commercial ever. It's like a 8-bit video game with Roman Reigns, a side scroller. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. Go out of your way.
Yeah, I actually fell asleep during the thing, so I'm going to have to go back and watch it a little bit. But, I've actually been caught up watching this insane championship wrestling from Scotland with Grado. And I've been tweeting some entrances, and Grado is this kind of out of shape. Like, if Kevin Owens was, like, even more out of shape and, like, didn't lift weights, he'd be Grado. And Grado is the most over guy in Insane Championship Wrestling. They drew 4,000 people at their show last week. And he comes out to the iconic Madonna song, Like a Prayer, and starts doing all this crazy dancing. I mean, this guy is entertainment.
Yeah, phenomenal.
And I think you need to bring him into your camp for your next
fight.
I
told you, it's been confirmed. He's been a secret member of my camp for a long time. He confirmed it on Twitter.
You actually know this guy?
Yeah, go check the messages. He confirmed it on Twitter.
Yeah, but I don't know what's work and what's a shoot.
Well, hell, it's out in the public. It's a shoot, buddy.
So if people are curious,
you think the only guys I know are O'Reilly and Fish?
Well, I didn't say that, but if you want to see Grado, there's also a documentary that was on Vice Sports.
Yeah,
in the
anybody
UK.
that was on Vice gets a lot of respect and a lot of pump in the press. So
yeah, so it's Grado. Put that in there in Vice, and it's like a 45-minute documentary.
Can you play that Madonna song? Can you get that thing going?
Let's see.
Continue on while you do that, or I'll continue on. I'll continue reviewing the show here. So after Ambrose versus Owens, there was Usos and Lucha Dragons and Ryback versus New Day, Barrett, Sheamus. New Day ran down Sheamus dogged them in their opening promo. And later on, it led to Big E getting eliminated, and then the New Day just left Sheamus by himself.
Hey Tom, tell me if you can if this comes out somewhat clear.
All right. No,
is that coming in at all?
No.
Yeah, I don't know how to gimmick
all right,
this.
whatever.
But just put Google Grado, Grado. He's a wrestler from the United Kingdom, and he's funny as fuck.
He was in TNA as well.
Yeah, I read he didn't get over in TNA, or I guess it's hard to.
Does anybody?
Yeah.
So okay. Which, by the way, they're going on to Pop TV, which is in more homes than Destination America. So I hope that it serves them well. I'd really like to see them, get back to a position where, they can offer more guys bigger contracts for more dates for more money and have a, real second promotion, going toe to toe with WWE, whether it's them or Ring of Honor or Lucha Underground or whatever it is. I want to see more of it. So.
Let me try this time. Let me unplug the mic and see if we can.
Okay.
Let's see. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
So this is Grado's entrance.
We might get.
We might get a copyright. Yeah. So he comes out with Goldberg at first.
What's going on here? What the hell is this?
But I think it'll be okay, Tom, because it's just like background music.
Uh-huh.
What is this another concussion? What's gonna happen next? Is Eddie Roberts gonna come out and think he's a bushwhacker? What the hell's going on here? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there he is! A phenomenon in the world of pro wrestling!
He's got a fanny pack.
He's like the Kyle Kingsbury of professional wrestling.
And the crowd sings every word.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Ladies and gentlemen!
It's not coming. I'm getting a lot of bass there, bro.
All right. Can you hear me, Tom?
Great performer.
What?
Great performer.
He sure is, man. And those fans over there in Scotland, I mean, that's it reminds me a little bit of ECW. I mean, it's not as kind of edgy, but
yeah,
man, they like their announcers, they curse a lot. They call people cunts and stuff.
Well, that's just their language over there. So I'll have to check out some of it. Drew Galloway is pretty credible wrestler, pretty damn good in the ring. So I know he's over there, and some other guys. So I'll definitely check some out. We could talk about it.
Yeah, they had the commissioner for the last card that drew 4,000 people was Mick Foley.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So they got some money to I'm sure Mick Foley's not. I mean, man,
it went well for TNA too. So So yeah, I guess the big news coming out of Survivor Series obviously is Kane. Kane is back, and
your favorite wrestler.
Yeah, he's back, and he helped The Undertaker beat Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. Harper takes a tombstone. Brothers of Destruction walk out victorious. I popped. I liked it. I marked out. So,
Tom, when did this obsession with Kane begin?
I think he's just, he's been around forever. They put him in every single role, the shittiest storylines you could ever think of. The guy is still around after all of it. I kind of hold him, I hold him at the very top, and right behind him is basically like Mark Henry. Mark Henry went through the same thing with a lot of crappy storylines, but he's persevered through it all. And, despite what would look like many attempts from the WWE to get him to quit, has stayed with the company.
Sure.
So I admire their perseverance, Brian.
Oh, I thought there was more to it, that like you just like his character.
I do. I just like him. I've seen his entire run. Basically I've seen him since he was Isaac Yankem, and then the fake Diesel, and then Kane. So
the reason I ask is because so many people are just like, all right, Kane, we know you're a Hall of Famer, we respect you, but we're done seeing you in the main event. Same with the Big Show.
Yeah, but okay, I think you could keep him and the Undertaker around and milk them for more if they're a tag team. They don't have to do as much in the ring. They come out, have nostalgia tag team matches. They can go when they want. And, I think it adds to the show definitely more than it detracts. I don't know if it's worth it to The Undertaker, to work pay-per-views and just show up then, or maybe do more than just WrestleMania over the course of the year. But, if he's going to continue to work, I think you have him at one of the, WrestleMania, and then the other big 4 or big 3 pay-per-views, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, the Rumble, and then WrestleMania, and you could always throw him in a tag team match with Kane and get something out of it.
Who is Taker going to wrestle at Mania?
Probably Bray Wyatt.
Oh, again?
Shit, I don't know. I mean, we got no hint tonight, so
yeah,
it won't be Brock. I got no clue.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Probably not Owens. I can't see that.
You think John Cena? Because they haven't wrestled.
No, I don't know. Listen, last night Dave Meltzer mentioned that he thinks Cena against Reigns at WrestleMania. So,
see that again? I pulled the earbuds out of my. You said Cena and
last night on the Observer, Dave mentioned something about Reigns versus Cena being possible for WrestleMania. So I don't know if how legit that is, or how much, how concrete that is, I guess I should say. I'm sure the info is legit, but I don't know how concrete that is. So that could take Cena out of it. But I had heard that mentioned before. I personally don't care about seeing that match, really.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's like, not really much to it. I mean, the problem at Reigns, I mean, he just can't express himself. They're gonna, I don't know.
Express yourself. Do it good. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
They need to. Maybe Bischoff wants to come back and be his mouthpiece, but then you got to turn him heel. I mean, I don't know. He's just dead airwaves to me, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he's gonna be chasing Sheamus for the title. So I wonder if Seth Rollins being out just kind of altered their plans and made them slot Sheamus into Seth Rollins' spot. It'll be interesting to see, and I think we'll be able to tell a lot based on how Sheamus's interactions with Wade Barrett are going forward. If they're still looked at as a team or friends, or if Sheamus distances himself from that. So, maybe there's going to be a stable on our hands. Maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Sheamus, he's been given a lot of opportunities to get over. I know he's kind of
thing. Like, I think if you give Sheamus the title, and if you surround him with a few other guys, kind of like in the role that they had Seth Rollins with Kane and the Big Show, backing him up, and then J&J Security, you could make it work. But just Sheamus versus Reigns at the top with Triple H, being the catalyst behind it all, isn't really going to do much for me, and I don't think it's going to do much for most of the viewers. But, if you get Sheamus up there, then you have Wade Barrett as a lackey, and then, Rusev was actually paired up with them while they were together. So if he comes back and he's slotted in there again, you could have something, that's more interesting than just Reigns versus Sheamus. So.
When is Rusev slated to return?
Good question that I do not know the answer to.
Did he rupture his Achilles? Was that the?
I can't even remember.
Yeah.
There were so many injuries and stuff between him and Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae and Lana. I know Lana is back training, I guess.
Oh, is she? Yeah, I saw on Instagram she put up a picture. I mean, they.
Hey, she needs to work out those guns to lift up that rock that's on her finger.
Yeah, man, but I was gonna say that was no little injury. They cut into her wrists pretty good. I guess they put some. I don't know what they would. What did they do? They put a rod in there, or I'm sure they would like to put.
Yeah, I'd love to put a rod.
Yeah, or a steel plate, or
yeah.
So this controversy with Ric Flair and his son Reed.
Distasteful, tasteless.
They cut it from the promo package.
Good.
But they kind of hinted like.
Yeah.
They said some things that
What's the point in even bring that up? I don't. It made me uncomfortable. It's unnecessary. And here's the thing: you have a show where you got fucking Bray Wyatt pretending he has magical powers, and then you got something on the complete opposite end of the spectrum like that's so real, and it's just unnecessary. I don't know. Not a fan of it.
But what about in defense of this?
It didn't add to the match either. That's the thing. It didn't add a damn thing to the whole situation.
Yeah, but I mean, what about CM Punk with Paul Bearer's ashes? I mean, was that distasteful? But I mean, they did get the buy-in from the family.
Yeah,
which
that's one thing. It's one thing if you do that because obviously the family knows the situation better than anybody else. But the way that it sounds is that they didn't get a real go ahead from the family, and in a situation like that, especially with somebody who's close to the company, it's not like it's somebody who's outside the company that they're making this joke about or making light of the situation or making it into an angle. It's it's somebody who's been associated with it and done a lot for the very business that these people are in, and that makes it even worse.
I just can't believe that Vince thought that would be a good idea. Especially like you said, he does have a good relationship with Ric Flair. He was the general manager on the last European tour just a few weeks back. Why wouldn't you go to him and say, hey, because if you go to his Ashley Flair or Charlotte, if you go to her, she's a rookie in the main roster, and she's probably going to say yes to anything because she wants, she doesn't want to get heat, right?
Yeah. Here, you have to marry Bram. Okay. Here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's got some. That's actually her second marriage. She was married to this guy that used to play football at Ole Miss, and it lasted maybe a year. That's the guy that got in a fight with Rick, and Rick got all. It looked like Rick got beat up really bad, but I think it was just all that fucking scar tissue. I don't think the guy beat up Rick that bad, but it looked bad.
Yeah. A couple chops, nobody can withstand it.
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you look at Charlotte, and she married Bram. I'm like, oh my god, what are some of these women thinking?
I like Bram as a performer, but apparently he beats up women too. Like, wasn't he accused of domestic violence? So.
That charge got dropped, but as we both know,
so I'm glad to hear that.
As we both know, I mean, dropped domestic violence charges, usually don't mean anything. Yeah, it just means that the girl won't cooperate.
Speaking of which, Thiago Silva lost a fight yesterday.
Yeah, I actually found out about that from a mutual friend of ours sent me a tweet from somebody associated with Shamrock FC, and he sent me a picture of the guy that beat him up, and I said, who's that? Is he a fighter? He's like, yeah, that's the guy that beat up Thiago Silva. I was like, oh man, he used to be the scariest motherfucker in the UFC. Well,
What, was it Necro Butcher? Is that what he looked like?
No, he looked like Heath Slater.
Why doesn't Vice do a thing on the Necro Butcher? That's who they should do it.
Hey, what happened to did he retire?
I don't know.
When I was really into
infected everybody and now he's gone. I think he's a zombie.
Oh, he had the hep gimmick?
I don't know. I have no idea. No, I don't know that.
Oh.
Never heard that, but
well, I mean, he bladed himself.
All over the place.
I mean, you got to be one crazy motherfucker to blade, on those indie shows. It's not like WWE where they're probably getting tested for communicable diseases.
Yeah.
Just like that guy Nicholson. What's the guy's name? that is suing Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Hannibal. I think Hannibal is his ring name, and he's adamant that Abdullah the Butcher gave him Hep C by, he gigged them. He didn't tell him he was going to do it, and but I think he's also a legit wrestler too. He was like runner up in heavyweight Greco-Roman for the Canadian national team.
Really?
But but I think it is curable now. I even heard Pamela Anderson on the Howard Stern show because she had it. She said it's curable now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So if you ever get Hep C, Tom, it's not like.
Well, I had a scare before one of the fights. Before I was going to fight Chris Weidman, I got a call from the UFC saying, "Hey, don't be alarmed, but you tested positive for hepatitis." I can't remember which one it was, but they sent me to get a bunch of tests done, and it took like another 2 weeks to get the results back. So that was 2 weeks of not training.
So were you like, what bitch gave this to me?
Were you
going through your list like?
No, well, I was thinking about it. It could be anything, Brian. You train on mats with people. It's possible that they bleed on you, or there's a lot of ways, a lot of other ways it could happen, like getting drunk and eating trash, cookies out of the trash, stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh shit! Maybe I should get tested for it.
Yeah.
So what else we got on Survivor Series?
Roman Reigns beat Dean Ambrose clean in the middle with a spear. Triple H came out. Roman Reigns made the dumbass mistake of spearing him for no reason, which gave Sheamus the opportunity to come down and hit a brogue kick, cash in the Money in the Bank, go for the pin. Reigns kicked out. Sheamus hit him with another one, picked him up. I think he went for another one. I don't know. There was two in there, so he hit him. Picked him up, went for it again. Reigns ducked, and then Sheamus hit him with it again and pinned him. 1, 2, 3. Him and Triple H shook hands, walked around a little bit. That was it. Roman Reigns walked to the back looking like the saddest panda on the planet. And that was it.
I just hope I didn't fuck up this audio thing when we had that little hiccup.
Oh, well, we'll find out later.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't think I had anything else.
All right, me neither. Sounds good.
Oh yeah, I did have something else. So you're going to hang out with the great Chris Sturgill?
I believe so. I have extended the olive branch to him, so I'll let you know. I should have invited him over to watch Survivor Series tonight, but I didn't think about it until it was too late. So
yeah,
I'll let you know how that goes.
Sturgill is at Chris Sturgill. What is it? STU
12, I think.
Yeah, at Chris Sturgill 12. He's he partied with us in Chicago. I still have this visual of him carrying like 8 drinks, and they were all for him. It was
He's human Barney Gumble.
And we're gonna have him on here because we're gonna have to. We have to start a little
review with strip club review with Chris Sturgill.
Yeah, Chris
Sturgill's strip clubs.
Chris goes to these strip clubs in Iowa, and he is I'll let him tell the stories, but we want to have a whack pack, and I think Chris is I
think the snack pack is
the snack pack.
Yeah, I don't want to insult these guys.
Yeah, but it's not really like an insult. It just means that he's a character. I mean, I wouldn't want anybody.
I also don't want to be ripping off
Howard.
Much there.
Yeah, but Chris is a character. We'll get him on here, and he'll tell us some stories.
Yeah.
But all right. So that's the return of the Filthy FRB show. We'll be more consistent. I think we're going to start. Are we going to go with that idea on Thursdays? We're going to try. What is your schedule like with?
Hey, works for me, bro.
Yeah. And I'll be closer to your time zone, so we'll be pretty close to being on the same page.
Oh yeah.
Be out there on Wednesday.
Can't wait to visit.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
The cold core is going to be close by.
Yeah, we get it directly from the brewery there in Golden, Colorado.
Golden, Colorado.
There you go.
I didn't even think about that. How amazing.
All right. Later.
Peace.